we'll kick off with, this is the first of our bad news stories, really. We're going to come to some good ones, trust me. But I'll hand over to Terry for this one. This is the now looking like absolute cancellation of Rosalind Franklin.
Yeah. I just want to say, as Nick was saying there, we will be discussing sensitive issues. So I just want to say anything I say in that respect will be my own personal views, not necessarily representing those of Space Store or any other associated organizations.
Absolutely.
We'll try and be honest, but we'll try and be careful and sensitive and so on. So the Rosalind Franklin mission is part of the overall ExoMars mission, which is a joint Russian ESA mission to Mars. It's already got underway back in 2016. The first part of the mission was launched. The Trace Gas Orbiter is already in orbit around Mars and doing very useful work. The first part of the landing part of it, the Schiaparelli lander, unfortunately crashed on landing, so we never got anything back from that. But Trace Gas Orbiter is still there working. The next part of that was to be the launch of the Rosalind Franklin Rover, which named after a very well-known American astronomer. And that was originally to launch in 2020. It was delayed for a number of reasons, some technical and some then because of the intervention of COVID. And it had been rearranged for a launch at the end of September this year. And now, unfortunately, because of what's happening in Ukraine, it's almost certainly postponed. It doesn't seem as if it's possible that that can launch this year. And that means, unfortunately, a delay of at least 2 years before we have another launch window. Now, we can only hope that somebody in Moscow sees sense and basically calls an end to the carnage and the slaughter in Ukraine. That's being very optimistic. There are all sorts of political and military angles on this, which I'm not going to go into. But if by some miracle the conflict was to stop in the next day or so, I still don't think it will be possible to resurrect the mission launch at the end of the month, partly because there'll probably still be sanctions applied to Russia, and partly because basically all the preparations between now and September have been put on hold. And if you miss the launch window by a week or so, you've lost it altogether until about 2 years later, when Earth and Mars come back to roughly the same relative positions. It's just under 2 years and 2 months that you get a repeat window. So it looks almost certain that it's not going to launch this September. And if that doesn't happen, then the next possibility would be 2 years and 2 months or so from now. Whether that will be an option or not, I simply don't know. I think we're into political issues here, just what the relationship between ESA and Russia will be after this conflict comes to an end, and it will have to come to an end eventually. I don't think it's going to be possible to resurrect a good working relationship. Certainly Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, are pretty displeased with what has happened in terms of Western sanctions and so on. And it could take a long time to rebuild bridges. The head of Roscosmos in particular has been very anti-American, very pro-Putin. So that's going to be a problem. He might possibly be replaced and somebody a bit more liberal might take over. That's obviously just conjecture. Even if that happens, I think it's going to be a case of we'll almost certainly miss this launch, which is an absolute shame.